sacred sword that once shone in the hands of the swordmaster is now lying untouched in the slums for 20 years. Everyone believes it's a broken sword, but the boy takes a liking to it at first glance. He desperately wants to buy it. However, even if he saved 3,000 years of wages, it wouldn't be enough. At that moment, the boy's childhood friend speaks up. If you like it, I'll buy it for you. But it's expensive. A broken sword? How expensive can it be? The girl looks unusually determined. Call me sis. I'll pay in full. The boy keeps staring at the sacred sword. 5 gold coins. The atmosphere becomes awkward. Mina didn't expect a broken sword to be so pricey. She props her chin and examines it closely. 5 gold coins, huh? That's enough to keep me fed for 200 years. Fred can only give an awkward smile at this. But just then, a rough, angry voice comes from a short distance away. What do you mean broken sword? Get out of here. This isn't a toy for poor folks like you. As the words fall, a burly old man angrily charges over to them. It's the blacksmith shop's owner. But Mina remains calm. Old man, are you crazy? This is the slums. Who else is here but poor folks? Well, you've got a point. The old man is left speechless. He can only angrily call her a rude brat. But Mina fires back, calling him an old geezer. Before they start fighting, Fred quickly pulls Mina away. But the old man behind them is still fuming. He remembers how he once saved her life by giving her food when she was starving. Why isn't she even a bit grateful? The old man walks back to the blacksmith shop fuming. But as he looks down, he notices a deep footprint in front of the sacred sword. That brat. How long has he been standing here? The old man sighs helplessly. No matter how much you like it, I can't give you this sword. I know very well that people from the slums can't escape the slums. But my masterpiece is destined to shine before the whole world. It turns out the boy is just a candle seller at a hotel in the slums. With both parents gone, he was taken in by the manager Sanji and treated like a son. Out of gratitude, Fred works almost for free. But even so, he puts his all into his work. On this day, a rival group comes looking for trouble in the slums. Fred looks up, and standing in front of him is none other than one-armed Jack. He's one of the 5 major forces in the slums. The others are Lady Night Coon, the Butcher Black Bear, the Gambler Tease, and Whale the Whaler. Jack is the most powerful, always scheming to take over the other 4 groups. Today he's here under the pretense of negotiations. Hey kid, where's your boss? Fred hears him but doesn't answer. Just looks at Jack with a determined gaze. Jack himself is here. Should I fight him or? Before Fred can decide, Jack's underling Jaw loses his temper. Hey brat, didn't you hear what the boss said? I don't know. I'm just a candle seller. Fred replies calmly without emotion. Jaw is furious, swearing and knocking over a box of candles. Candles scatter everywhere. Seeing this, everyone holds their breath, sensing a fight is unavoidable. But instead of getting angry, Fred kneels down and starts picking up the candles. Jaw looks stunned. It seems a fight is inevitable. But Fred, instead of getting angry, kneels down and begins picking up the candles. Jaw is stunned. Then he starts shaking with rage. You brat, don't you get the situation? But Fred remains unmoved, even asking him to move his foot. At that moment, Jaw loses it completely. He lifts his foot and kicks at Fred fiercely. Fred swiftly moves his stick to his right hand, then strikes Chia's supporting leg with force, sending him into the air. He follows up with another stance, delivering a full-powered blow, and knocking Jaw away. This scene stuns everyone present, but Jack just smiles meaningfully. He even holds back his angry subordinates. I like this kid, but I only have one hand, so I couldn't hold Jaw back. Forgive me. Fred is unfazed. I don't discriminate against the disabled. Jack bursts out laughing. At the next moment, his expression changes drastically. A terrifying aura radiates from him. Kid, how about we have a little private chat? But Fred remains unfazed by his pressure. His gaze remains as resolute as ever. The tension holds for a few seconds. Just then, Sanji's voice suddenly breaks the silence. Oh, it's Jack. You should have let me know you were coming. I would have prepared some roast for you. Jack chuckles. Oh, come on. We're not that close. Sanji calmly steps up to Jack, inviting him upstairs for a chat. But behind the scenes, the two have already engaged in a silent power struggle. Though Sanji is at a disadvantage, he refuses to back down. And so in this standoff, Jack reluctantly agrees to go upstairs for a chat. After they leave, Fred finally lets out a sigh of relief. That was close. Almost died here, although he made it out safely. A lot of candles were damaged. 2.5 hours later, Jack and his group come down from the 2nd floor. I have a good eye for people, and your boss seems to agree with me. If you're tired of the smell of candles, come work for me instead. Fred touches his neck helplessly. But they give me food, pay me, and even provide a place to sleep. We can offer you the same. Jack laughs and tosses a gold coin to Fred. Consider this your compensation. Fred takes the coin incredulous. It's the first gold coin he's ever seen in his life. Work for me, and you'll have as many gold coins as you want. If you change your mind, come find me at the bank. With that, Jack leaves the tavern. Fred watches his cheerful comrades and thinks, the negotiations must have gone well. But unexpectedly, a moment later, Mina calls him upstairs. In the room, everyone is solemn, heads lowered in silence. The situation clearly doesn't look good. After Fred sits down, Sanji hands him a short dagger. It was originally meant to be his birthday gift, but now it's urgent. Though Jack has many underlings, Sanji as a retired knight is quite formidable himself. This keeps a basic balance of power. But now, Jack has brought in an active knight from outside the slums, disrupting the balance. With no other choice, Sanji has decided to suspend Fred's candle-selling job, and entrust him with a critical mission for the gang's survival. The mission will be executed the following day. In the brief moments of free time, Fred seizes the chance to practice his swordsmanship. He feels satisfied with his powerful swings. But then a hollow voice speaks up nearby. When you swing, try to keep your elbow angle smaller. To increase the power. Fred feels a bit exasperated. He doesn't know where the voice comes from, but it only offers advice when he's practicing. He recalls that day, when he was admiring the sacred sword. A black lightning bolt struck him from the sky. It hit him, but caused no harm. Since then, a voice has sounded whenever he practices swordsmanship. This time, Fred can't hold back any longer. He tries to follow the voice's advice, closing his eyes tightly, focusing all his power in his hands. He raises the stick, and swings with all his might. After completing these movements, Fred is shocked. What incredible strength! He's never felt this kind of power before. Who exactly is this person? Why do they know so much about swordsmanship? In fact, even the voice doesn't know its own identity. It only vaguely remembers knowing a bit about swordsmanship. But driven by its love for swordsmanship, even after death, its soul didn't fade away. Instead, it attached itself to the sacred sword, becoming a sword spirit. 3 days later, following the spirit's guidance, Fred goes outside the slums. He is there to bring back Sanji's old friend Stonga, to help defend against Jack's forces. The mission goes smoothly. Fred immediately finds the legendary knight Stonga, and hands him Sanji's letter. Stonga takes the letter and begins reading, realizing the urgency of Sanji's situation. But a sly smile creeps onto his lips. So it's mercenary knights causing trouble. No wonder he needs my help. With time running out, Fred doesn't want to delay further. With a few casual words, Fred starts leading the way. But Stonga sighs, and says something strange. I'm not even sure if I should be following an idiot like you. But at least I can guide you. Do you understand? Stonga's face turns serious. If you take one wrong step, I'll kill you. Seeing Stonga trying to intimidate him, Fred doesn't respond. Let's go. I don't want to mess up my first mission. Stonga is taken aback. This guy's reaction is really odd. No wonder Sanji likes him. Stonga watches Fred and follows him. At nightfall, the two find a cave to rest in. But Fred keeps staring at Stonga's face. What? Never seen a handsome knight before? Yes. You really are a country bumpkin. Where are you from? Digia. That's even more rural than a bumpkin. Stonga is stunned, unable to find a comeback. He tries to threaten Fred again. You better not get lost. Got it. Fred takes out a row of fresh beef. Is there any for me? Nope. Didn't you bring your own food? Stonga pulls out 2 pieces of jerky, looking defeated. He stares at the delicious roast beef, drooling uncontrollably. How about this, kid? I'll answer one of your questions for a piece of beef. Fred stays silent for a few seconds. If you want beef, just say so. I have my pride, kid. A knight doesn't take what isn't his. That's principle. You're retired. Stonga is stunned again. This kid really has a sharp tongue. But Fred isn't petty, and asks him a couple of questions anyway. Name and age. Stonga 42 inches. After a few seconds, Fred thinks of a more intriguing question. Do you know aura techniques? Stonga smirks confidently. Aura isn't something every knight can master. Just admit it if you can't do it. Stonga slowly stands up, and draws his sword. He holds the sword in front of him and begins to meditate. After a moment, a brilliant blue light surrounds Stonga. His eyes, and even his sword, take on a deeper shade of blue. When he opens his eyes, a powerful force radiates from him, nearly knocking Fred off his feet. So strong. Is this aura? Just watching it makes my heart race. 3 days quickly pass, and they finally return to the slums. Stonga suddenly notices something strange. It's so quiet here, so quiet it bothers me. Fred retorts with irritation. That's because it's nighttime. Stanga's expression suddenly darkens. Before them, there are over 30 corpses lying around. Fred is stunned. He never expected Jack to launch an attack early. He quickly tells Stanga the location of the tavern, and runs back without looking back. Inside the tavern, it's a scene of devastation. Fred senses something is wrong. But fortunately, Sanji only has minor injuries. You brought him back, right? Yes, he should be here soon. Sanji's veins bulge with anger. Good. Tomorrow we'll settle things with Jack. Then Sanji changes the subject. How's that guy doing lately? He's doing great. He even showed off his aura technique right in front of me. Sanji is stunned. He looks at Fred in disbelief. He confirms with Fred multiple times, but still gets the same answer. Sanji's heart sinks. Quick, hide behind me. Stanga doesn't know aura at all. Fred is shocked. He's not Stanga? Then who is he? Moments later, the imposter appears before them, eyes filled with killing intent. So you've been hiding here. Long time no see, Sanji. Sanji is alarmed, and quickly shields Fred. After all these years, why can't you just leave me alone? Godin pours himself a glass of wine. You disobeyed the Count's orders back then, choosing to become a deserter. That sealed your fate, even though the Count is dead now. Sanji flies into a rage. I am human, not the Count's killing machine. With that he charges forward, sword raised. In his fury he uses all his strength, striking with all his might. But Godin swiftly dodges. Such speed. You've grown this much? But Sanji refuses to back down. They clash several more times, destroying nearly everything around them, without landing a single hit. Seeing this, Fred quickly escorts the innkeeper's wife out of the main hall. Everyone hurry upstairs. Sanji before he can finish, Sanji is struck and thrown outside, landing hard on the first floor. Following him is Godin like a grim reaper. Sanji, you still refuse to return? He slowly approaches the staircase, looking down on Sanji as if he were an ant. Seeing Godin momentarily distracted, Fred quickly pulls out a knife and throws it, but it gets deflected. Godin glances at Fred out of the corner of his eye, then turns and charges at Sanji without hesitation. Sanji barely manages to sidestep the attack. At this point, Godin's patience has completely run out. Knights should obey orders unconditionally. Sanji, he closes his eyes after saying this, raising his sword in front of him. A beam of brilliant blue light wraps around his sword. Fred senses danger, and quickly runs downstairs, in an attempt to stop Godin. But it's too late. As Godin opens his eyes, he swings his sword, sending tens of thousands of blades flying out. Everything within a 25-meter radius is destroyed. Only Fred, arriving late, survives. But the powerful shockwave knocks him to his knees. As the smoke clears, Fred sees a sight he'll never forget. Sanji is dead. The strongest man, who had always protected him, is gone. Dead. Fred's world collapses instantly. He grabs a sword nearby, and charges recklessly at Godin. He swings with all his might, but Godin dodges effortlessly. This poor kid knows swordsmanship? Godin is a bit surprised. But surprise aside, as Fred raises his sword, Godin ruthlessly kicks at Fred's vital area. He sends Fred flying, but Fred isn't dead, though the force nearly knocks the breath out of him. This kid, his body instinctively twisted to avoid the blow? His talent might even surpass my own. Killing him now would be a waste. Perhaps in the future, he could even surpass me. Godin smiles, slightly. I'm not Stanga, nor am I 42 years old. With that he hands the 2 pieces of jerky back to Fred. But I'm taking what's in my hands. It's my right as the victor. Fred barely hears any of Godin's words. He has only one thought now. I must kill Godin. After locking eyes briefly, Godin turns to leave. Get stronger. 2 pieces of jerky aren't enough to buy my life. Fred grits his teeth at these words. One day, you'll die by my sword. After that, Fred stays there for a long time, as if all meaning in the world had vanished. Seeing him like this, the innkeeper's wife slaps him. Do you know the difference between people inside and outside the slums? People outside have countless chances to start over, but we, one failure, and most of us are dead. She grabs Fred and pulls him up. You're our only hope now. Live well. After a while, Fred escapes with Mina, but he's badly injured and struggling. Meanwhile, the slums are crawling with Jack's men. Fred wipes the sweat from his brow, swearing he won't die here. Just then, Jack's men spot them. Ja, the leader, roars in fury. You're both dead. To evade capture, they frantically hide inside a shop. To avoid putting Mina at risk, Fred, injured, suggests they split up. But Mina stubbornly refuses. I'm staying with you, no matter how much Fred pleads. Mina only grows more determined. She even begins to cry softly, refusing to leave his side. Fred is frustrated. Of all times, Mina chooses now to be stubborn. The commotion between the two wakes up the shop owner. Turning around, the owner approaches holding a lantern. It's the old blacksmith from the shop. What are you doing here? Mina freezes, quickly grabbing a knife from the table. Hey old man, the blacksmith rolls his eyes. This is my house, not yours. How dare you act so bold? I told you to stay quiet. Do I have to stab you to keep you silent? Seeing Mina's serious expression, the old man reluctantly gives in. Fine, I'll stay quiet, put the knife down. Mina clenches her teeth, suddenly remembering the sacred sword. With nothing to lose, she says, Old man, give us the sword you had hanging outside. The old man is stunned, and refuses her outright. The sword means more to him than his own life. He won't hand it to just anyone. Seeing this, Fred tries to stop Mina too, but she won't listen to anyone. Her mind is set on one thing. If she can get Fred the sacred sword, he might survive and escape. Seeing the old man's firm refusal, Mina clenches her teeth, gripping the knife tightly, and prepares for an all-or-nothing stance. Mina, stop. Don't do something foolish. The old man closes his eyes, ready for her move. In the next moment, Mina swings the knife, but only to cut off her long red hair. All of this is yours, and I'll spend my life repaying the rest. Please, give the sword to Fred. The old man stays silent for a few seconds, then turns his gaze to Fred. Do you want to leave the slums? After Fred gives a firm answer, the old man falls into thought. Not only does Fred have a passion for swords, he visits daily just to admire the sacred sword. And in this young man, the old man sees a glimmer of his former self. Perhaps he could even fulfill his own last wish. I'm getting old, let this young man make it happen. Moments later, the old man and Mina push a cart full of trash towards the city gates. With Fred hidden inside clutching the sacred sword, Jack's men have blocked off the entire slum, so this is their best escape route. But despite the old man's caution, they're still stopped by a group of Jack's men. Taking out trash this late? The old man snaps back. Because of you damned lot. Blocking the alleys with your fights. I couldn't throw it out earlier. The thug is taken aback. What a grumpy old man. Then he turns his gaze to Mina at the back of the cart. Who's she? Your blacksmith shop only had you, right? The old man keeps shouting. I'm tired. Can't I hire some help? Or do you want to do it? Fine. Being the only blacksmith in the slum, the thugs don't dare to disrespect him too much. However, one of them slides his sword under Mina's hat, lifting it slightly, and cuts it open. Mina quickly makes a funny face. And with her hair already cut short, the thug doesn't recognize her. Go on then, we're looking for that blonde kid Sanji. The old man nods and starts pushing the cart away. Just as they're about to escape, another thug calls out, Hold on a sec, your trash cart hasn't been checked. He signals for the old man to pull over. Mina's face fills with panic. If they search the cart, Fred would surely be discovered. The thug leans down, seeming to sense Fred hiding inside. It's just my job, don't hate me. He then jabs a stick forcefully into the cart. I heard Haven docked his boat by the river. Anyone can leave from there. He pulls the stick back out. All set, you're clear to go. It turns out the thug's brother was once arrested for theft, and Fred used his last 40 silver coins to save him. So in gratitude, the thug deliberately missed with the stick, and told him a way out of the slums. Soon they arrive at the city's garbage dump. Mina, reluctant to part, says, Goodbye, Fred, you must stay safe. The boy holds the star-lit sword, crafted from the old man's dreams, paid for with the girl's tears. It will surely shine in his hands. Not long after, Fred successfully escapes. He eagerly takes out the sword. You can hear me, right? Yes. The sword's spirit speaks softly. Who are you really? Fred presses for answers. I don't know. Fine. Then I'll help you regain your memory. How about becoming my sword? Even if you're a demon, I need your help. That blue knight who wiped out his entire squad is unbelievably powerful. His strength is dozens of times greater than Sanji's. Seeing Fred's resolve, the sword's spirit replies, All right, I'll teach you all my sword techniques. After escaping the slums, Fred becomes the leader of a mercenary group, making a living slaying monsters. It adds to his combat experience, and prepares him for his ultimate revenge. Meanwhile, he sometimes encounters challenges. After clearing out a horde of goblins, a massive goblin suddenly appears, swinging a club fiercely at the mercenaries.